TEDxCarleton 2013.
While we're waiting for that to come back down, it takes a while, I'm going to need all of you to join in. This half of the room, listen and repeat after me. Down, 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 down. Keep going. Good. This half of the room. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. Good. Anyone knows this? Dun 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 dun. Take it down. Good job. Thank you. My name is Ben, and I make music with my face. When I was young, I used to watch this television show on Nickelodeon called Rocket Power. Yeah, skateboards, super cool, right? No school, because we're too cool. And there's this great drum breakdown right in the middle of the theme song for Rocket Power that I would always imitate while watching the show. I would come home and sit down on my parents' living room floor, turn on the TV, and just wait for it to start. And when my parents, who are both psychiatrists, mind you, came home to find their 10-year-old son sitting on the floor going, well, the reactions probably ranged from enthusiasm to confusion to concern to an overwhelming temptation to write long lists of drug names on prescription pads. Symptoms include constant noise making. Thankfully, I wasn't put on a lot of medications for my noisiness. Instead, I was encouraged to explore where it could take me creatively, albeit in my bedroom or outside or the basement. Far away is the general theme here. And it did take me places, albeit slowly at first. When I was in middle school, I was not a cool kid. A lot of people, I'm sure, can relate to that. But the kids who were cool called on me occasionally to have my moment of fame by doing animal impersonations. And there was one in particular that they really loved called The Cow. And it's a combination of clearing your throat and humming at the same time. Bringing it out of retirement, guys. This is a big moment for me. I would then retreat back into the sidelines as awkward fifth grader Ben. To make friends in high school, I wisely retired my animal impersonations to private life until I discovered beatboxing for the first time. I was about 17 and I heard someone performing live doing a throat-based technique, and while the rest of the audience heard this, all I could think was, this guy's doing the cow! Yes! I'm not alone! In its simplest form, beatboxing is the imitation of drums, but with the human voice, occasionally a microphone, and no effect whatsoever. The range of sounds you can produce are really endless. And from a lifetime of noisemaking, when I was in late high school, I discovered that I already had an arsenal of human vocal sounds that I could draw from, and I could collectively then build a beatbox vocabulary with which to speak this infinitely translatable and accessible language of music. That accessibility has allowed me to use beatboxing as a cultural bridge to reach different types of musicians in different places. I lived in Japan for 2 years right after I graduated from Carleton in 2010 in the small port city of Hakodate in southern Hokkaido. And I was very fortunate to join into the underground hip-hop scene in Hakodate, alongside this man here, Toshiya Takada. Toshiya works in computing and IT services by day. But every night he goes home and he listens to Biz Markie. He goes on the internet and listens to his favorite Belgian beatboxer, Roxor Loops, and he practices and practices. This guy has always wanted to be a DJ, but he can't afford the equipment. Like many beatboxers of the world, he instead turned to this art as a way to express the music that moved him so much. When Toshi and I joined Hakodate Cypher together, that was the group's name, everyone knew his beats already. In particular, they called on him to do a beat that they referred to affectionately as bunske bunske. And that name actually helps one learn how to do it. Add the cow.
Listen.
This beat is a part of my routine. Thank you so much. This beat is now a part of my routine, but I learned the fundamentals from Toshiya. When we were together, there we go. When we were together, our first language was not Japanese or English, but beatbox. Our time in each other's company was an incredible learning opportunity to test each other's limits of just how far we could stretch the creative limits of our vocal cords. As a result, our individual repertoires grew. This type of collaborative learning is central to expanding the beatbox canon, and it can unite artists from across oceans. But when you expand that canon, you have to also realize that this learning process has another center, mimicry. For a style of music based in mimicry, the sounds of everyday life can be incredibly influential. Being able to practice anywhere, it's only natural that the sounds and rhythms of your hometown, the languages you hear and speak every day, even the sounds of the instruments that play your favorite music, can all become sources of inspiration. Being able to incorporate these, especially with the proliferation of digital connections uniting not just the beatbox community, but the entire world, has become more exciting than ever before. And now we can experience those sounds from anywhere with unprecedented volume and over again. Being able to have these kind of connections with different beatboxers has taken me other places as well. In January of this year, I was invited to participate in a tribal dance with a group of Maasai warriors on the edge of the Serengeti in Tanzania. It was a really incredible experience, and to show my gratitude to these young men for welcoming me into their musical tradition, I offered to show them a musical tradition from my life. We didn't have any instruments, but that didn't matter. Beatboxing was the perfect candidate. I'd show them a little bit of beatboxing. They in turn wanted to try it, so we tried it together, and ultimately we performed together a combination of Maasai dance moves and beatboxing that I think I'll spare you today, but it was really a wonderful experience. And at the very end of that performance, the translator for the entire exchange, named Ketuta, volunteered a sound that I didn't even ask him to do. And if this works, I'm going to play it for you now. It was a whistle, unlike any whistle I'd ever heard. And it You heard the last few seconds of it. This is a whistle that I can't do, And I asked Ketuta at the end, where did that whistle come from? And he said, Ben, every Maasai warrior knows how to do that whistle. We were taught to do it when we were young. When we herd cattle in the bush or when we go hunting, we use this to communicate to each other. And he translated to all of his fellow warriors, and they all agreed, and they came up, and then one by one, each demonstrated his individual whistle. Then Ketuta told me that every whistle was unique, and it was, I could tell, but that they could also identify each other in the bush by whistle alone. This was an incorporation of functional everyday sound from an entirely separate culture into beatbox, into my world, by someone from well outside the horizons of the beatbox community as we understand it in popular culture. We were from opposite sides of the planet, but it didn't matter. By opening a window through beatbox, we could understand the rhythms and styles, not just of how each group expressed itself creatively, but also how each group lived every day. By using our ears and our voices to connect with one another, we understood each other in a more intimate and creative way. There's something incomparably joyous about sharing a passion that you have held as a part of your life for years with someone else, especially if it then introduces the same kind of joy into their lives, even if only for just a moment. I hope that everyone at this wonderful conference today will go home and try beatboxing at least once, even if it doesn't stick. It's my theory that everybody can do this type of music because we all have the necessary equipment, and if you have the right amount of courage to look and sound a bit ridiculous, you can definitely beatbox. You can dig into this wellspring of sonic experiences that make up your interaction with the world, and I think you'll be surprised at the riches that you uncover. Not only the ones that you already have, but how you can develop your creativity and how it can connect you with other people. I hope that beatboxing, whether it becomes a hobby of yours or not, helps you along on a journey to discovering hidden dimensions of your own creativity and then finding strength in being true to who you really are, whether a constant noisemaker or what have you. I'm grateful to say that beatboxing has made me a part of something larger than myself, and it involves me in a creative dialogue that elevates and celebrates diversity beyond the music. I'd like to bring that conversation here to you now, because beatboxers truly can come from anywhere, from two psychiatrist parents, from a software company in northern Japan, from the Serengeti Plains in Tanzania, and from a college campus in Northfield, Minnesota. Please join me in welcoming several new faces to the beatbox scene, the Carleton TEDx Beatbox crew. We are going to improvise a beatbox piece for you right here and right now. Let's give them a hand. Check. Oh, there we go. So we're using a loop station to layer our sounds over one another, and then we're going to just improvise and hopefully create something magical. Check it out. Thank you very much, everyone. We're going to send you out. Have a great day. Down, down, down.